Simplify the radicals. Let's go over this additional topic. We have the square root of 12. So what we want to do first is see which of these perfect squares could divide out of this number right here. So there's no negative, so we can skip this first one. Square root of 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and that's a whole number, so we could do that. So let's write that out. Divide by the square root of 4, and we get square root of 3. Now, square root of 3, you can't divide it by 9, you can't divide by 25, 49, 4, and so on. So that's your leftovers. And the square root of 4 is 2. So your answer would be 2 times the square root of 3. Let's look at the next one, 243. Well, first of all, there's no negative, so we could cancel out this 1. We're not going to use that. Let's try 4. So 243 divided by 4 is a decimal, so we're going to skip that one. Okay, let's try 243 divided by 9. We get 27. And let's see if we could divide another 9. 27 divided by 9 is 3. And just like before, we can't divide 3 by anything here. So our answer is 3 times 3 times the square root of 3. And that equals 9 square root of 3. Okay, let's look at the square root of 108. So first, let's try to divide by 4 because there's no negative. So 108 divided by 4 is equal to 27. And we know from the previous example that we could divide 9 by that one. 27 divided by 9 is 3. And 3 is just left over. You can't divide, 3 can't divide by any of these. So we have 2 times 3 times the square root of 3. That equals 6 radical 3. And that is our answer. Let's look at the square root of 147. There's no negative, so we can skip the first square root. Let's see about 4. 147 divided by 4 is equal to 36.75. So we'll skip to the next one. 147 divided by 9. That's 16.3 repeated. So we're going to skip that, go to the next one. 147 divided by 25, which is also a decimal. So we'll look at 49. 147 divided by 49 is 3. Square root of 49 is 7. So our answer is 7 times the square root of 3. 7 radical 3. Okay, let's look at the next one, the square root of 128. Still no negatives, so let's try to divide by 4. 128 divided by 4 is 32. So that works. You can also divide 32 divided by 4. It gives you 8. And you can divide by square root of 4 one more time. Get 2. 2 is left over because these don't go into 2. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 times the square root of 2. That equals 8 square root of 2. Let's look at the square root of 32. Well, just like this previous example, we could divide by the square root of 4. We could also divide by the square root of 16. It says 4 times 4 is 16. So our answer would be 4 radical 2. You could also show each step by step like in this previous one. How about the square root of 8? Can 4 go into that? Yes. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So our answer is 2 radical 2. Now let's look instead of square roots, or look at cube roots. It has an index of 3. Let's look at the cube root of 54. So the only difference here is that instead of taking out perfect squares, we're taking out perfect cubes now instead, which would be these numbers. 54, that doesn't have a negative, so we can skip that. Let's see if 8 will go into it evenly. 54 divided by 8. That's a decimal, so let's try the next one. 54 divided by 27. It gives you 2. And just like from the previous examples, 2 is left over because these numbers can't divide into 2 evenly. The cube root of 27 is 3, so our answer is 3 times the cube root of 2. And let's look at the last one, the cube root of 250. It's not negative, so we can't divide by -1. Let's see if 8 goes into that number. Let's see. 250 divided by 8. That's a decimal. So let's try the next number. 250 divided by 27, which is also a decimal. So let's try the next number, 125. 250 divided by 125. That gives you 2. So that works. That's left over. The cube root of 125 is equal to 5. So our answer is 5 cube root of 2. Alright, now using these numbers that you found, you simplified these radicals. We're going to combine like terms here. So the square root of 8 from up above was 2 square root of 2. And then we can multiply these in. 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6. Combine like terms. 2 square root of 2 minus 6 square root of 2 is -4 square root of 2. That's your answer.